Hello, my dearest confidant. So let's talk about boundaries. Let's talk about what they mean, how to find them, and how you can start to institute them. So boundaries are simply you checking in with yourself, seeing what you're actually comfortable with in any given situation, and deciding to choose yourself over whatever that situation, person, place, thing, whatever it is. And it's not selfish. It is actually beneficial because if you learn to say no to the things that don't serve you, not the things that are trying to make you grow, right? But the things that don't serve you, like someone being rude and calling you names, like that does not serve me. I'm not being rude if I say, I do not appreciate being called a name. If you want to continue to have a conversation with me, we can do that at a time when you've calmed down, that type of thing. And so learning to choose yourself in those types of situations goes a very long way to you being able to give in other areas of your life. If you feel like you are tired all the time, if you feel emotionally overwhelmed a lot of the time, if you feel angry a lot, that means that you should have a boundary in place in that situation. And let's go on the other side of that and say, so you can try to institute boundaries all you want. If the person, place, situation is not amenable to that boundary, you are hitting your head against a brick wall and you are in a place that you do not belong. However, you are going to suffer because you're not ready to leave that situation, place, person, whatever. And so there comes a point where you need to understand that I need to remove myself from this situation. This is no longer an instituting boundaries thing, especially when your boundaries have been crossed so grossly that you act out of accordance with who you strive to be, right? If you are not usually a name caller and you explode and you start calling that person names, you have put yourself in a situation that someone's not willing to give, right? And then you aren't either, but you're also not removing yourself. And so at that point, whose fault really is it, right? Take some accountability there. But so boundaries are not to control the other person. It is to protect your own energy. That is the whole reason for boundaries. And so if you are trying to institute boundaries to exert some sort of external control over a situation, that's not a boundary. That's manipulation. And so it's very important that you understand the distinction with that. And so we've gone from, listening to your thoughts in your mind and how you respond to things, paying attention to where you feel those things in your body when you are triggered, right? And so now it's time to start to pay attention to the situations that are happening around you that are causing you to feel a certain way. Like if I'm in a conversation and someone calls me a name, how do I immediately respond to that? Okay, this is a place where I have a lack of a boundary, and now is the time to institute that boundary or to further explore what it is that I am trying to accomplish by setting this boundary for myself, right? Again, they're not for the other person, they're for you. And so when you learn to say no in those situations, it's very beneficial to you. And if the other person, place, or thing doesn't like it, it's time for, if you're ready for it, a physical removal of that person from your immediate life, right? So that means you stop contact with them, or you stop contact as much, or only as much as you can handle. Go up against that boundary and test it out and see how it feels for you. And it's going to be uncomfortable at first, right? Especially if it's somebody that you've known. It's much easier to institute boundaries with people that you do not know, right, than it is to somebody that is a spouse or significant other, or a new friendship that you've had for maybe a couple of months. And you're like, I didn't say anything right away, but that actually bothers me, right? However, there is no wrong time to institute boundaries. And if someone doesn't respect your need for a boundary in a normal situation, if somebody doesn't respect the need for your boundary, then that means that they have things that they need to deal with. They are used to being able to take advantage in that way, and they don't like being told that doesn't work for me. And so I'm not talking about situations where you were the aggressor and now you're saying, no, I don't want to talk about this anymore. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about where you are in a normal situation and you're having a conversation. You're trying to tell someone how you feel, for instance, right? I feel. So you're focusing on yourself and they're like, well, that makes you stupid or that makes you a brat or whatever. Okay, now you're crossing the line here. That's a normal situation. And to be able to institute those boundaries is paramount. And so pay attention to how you feel when you are in a situation that is uncomfortable for you for a certain amount of time or whatever. And then decide how you want that boundary to play out in your life. If I say no to this, what does it free me up to do? It frees me up to love myself more. It frees up my time to spend with my loved ones. It helps me to create a safe space within myself so that way I can trust myself more. Those types of things. And so, so pay attention to what happens in your body when someone triggers you, and think about now how you would like that boundary to look and feel. And like I said, it's going to be hard at first, but simply focus on yourself when you are instituting that boundary with the other person. I feel like this when this occurs. And so from the future moving forward, I would like this situation to look like this. So I would like it if when we are having a heated conversation and you are emotionally overwhelmed, for you to say, okay, I can't do this anymore right now, instead of calling me names, because they're signaling the same thing to you. They're telling you that this conversation is over, but they're doing it in a way that is uncomfortable for you, and you don't have to stand for that. And so there's that. I love you, my dearest confidant. Until next time.